So we are going to be doing a deep dive into LaserDisc today. For me, I'll be honest with you, it's a format I am not super aware of. It's something probably only like past couple of years, maybe I've heard of like LaserDisc, never collected it as a kid. And it was just like, for me, it was like VHS, DVD. And it was like I said, like later, maybe adulthood, I've heard about LaserDisc more so. So like for someone like myself, who's maybe not super familiar with the format, Ben, and maybe wants to get like find out a bit more about it, what's the format about? What is it like? What is LaserDisc basically?
Okay, well, here it is. This is what one looks like.
Whoa.
And, you know, it's very huge. It's very similar to a vinyl record, double-sided. We've got some cool reflection there, as you can see.
Yeah.
It is an analog format. It's not digital. You know, people sometimes forget that. They think it's digital, but it's not. It originally started out in 1978, and it was known as DiscoVision then. And then it sort of became something else. And then it eventually became LaserDisc by the 90s. And it was always that thing of, you would always hear about them, but you would never see them.
Yeah.
You know, I spent years trying to see, you know, if I can actually find any or anyone who owned a player, but no one ever did. And then once DVD came in, you know, these sort of died off because they stopped making them around 2001. That's when the format stopped. And yeah, so it's basically a double-sided disc. Each one has about 60 minutes per side of the film. So you do have to flip the discs a few times when you watch the film. Some of them are like 30 minutes per side.
Right.
But the majority of them are 60 minutes per side. So if you've got a film that's over 2 hours, you're going to have at least 2 discs to go through. Whoa. Yeah. And as you can see, we've got a cool light reflection here. It's, yeah, it's something else. Yeah, it really is. It's a very weird oddity.
They look.
Not many people have probably seen one. You know, that's why I'm sure.
So are they like? Would you say they are the same size of like a 12-inch like a record? Are they very much the same? Are they or?
Yeah, I would assume so. Maybe a bit smaller by a few millimeters, and obviously the sleeves they come in are identical to the vinyl sleeves. But yeah, about the same. Yeah.
But you're with this, so like, so this is going in like is it like a DVD? Literally, you put it into the machine, the player. Is it like similar to the way you put like a DVD in, like the case comes out and then you put it on, or is it like a Is it
just this like just this enormous tray? You just you open it up and then you make sure it's the right side up, and then it will start spinning and it will read the first side. Yeah,
right.
And then when it gets to the end, you then have to sort of flip the disc over. But luckily, the player I own can read both sides, so I don't have to flip it.
Right. Okay.
I only have to change the disc once the disc is actually finished. So some players can do that, some not. Yeah.
That is cool. They look amazing. I mean, they look like did he scratch easily? Like, how are they like for scratches? Did he? If they get like
they can scratch easily as long as you're holding them like I am. As long as you don't get any finger marks over them, pretty much similar to DVDs. You know, they're going to work. Yeah. And the majority of discs that I've found, you know, they're all in good condition. People did look after them. So, but yeah, they can easily scratch. You've just got to look after them and just make sure you don't bash them around too much. Yeah.
Well, they look. Yeah. I'm glad you brought one on screen. That's awesome to see. I love that, mate.
Well, the only reason I bought this one on is because this disc is actually no good, believe it or not.
Right. Okay.
Because there was a problem with LaserDisc, and this is the reason why it probably didn't do so well. Is that some discs were susceptible to this thing called laser rot,
right?
Which was a manufacturing defect, and basically, picture and sound can deteriorate over a period of time.
Right. Okay.
And it's got nothing to do with the format. It's basically certain studios weren't very good at making them.
Right.
And the one I'm holding here, which is Shawshank Redemption, this was done by Columbia Pictures, which is Sony.
Right. Okay.
And Sony were not very good at making them. So if you are looking for movies, you need to be very careful with Columbia Pictures movies, because 9 times out of 10, they're probably going to get laser rot.
Right.
Majority of the other titles I've got, they were done by Pioneer, Universal, 20th Century Fox, or if Pioneer pressed them themselves, or Japanese releases. You know, the pictures and transfers stay pretty much normal. But yeah, this is one that's pretty much screwed. You put this in and it's going to look like a very battered VHS. You know, the audio's gone and the picture's all corrupted. But this is like a bad example of what can happen to it. But the majority of the ones that I will show are all perfectly fine. They work fine. Yeah. But I thought I'd get this one out of the case because it doesn't matter if I get it out of the case because it can't be watched anymore.
I appreciate you showing us. What does the quality look like in comparison? Would you say, like, is it above like a video VHS or below DVD? Where would you say on the scale of like the quality of LaserDisc stands?
I would say this is kind of like super VHS. That's a good way of putting it.
Right, okay.
It's not quite up there with DVD. Yeah. There are probably 1 or 2 movies that I've got that look really good. As long as you've got the right TV, the right setup, and do a bit of a picture adjustment. Some could look really good, but the majority of them are pretty standard. You know, on modern TVs, a lot of these aren't going to look as amazing as they probably once did. But yeah, in terms of picture-wise, transfers vary. You know, it just depends on who pressed it and how good condition the disc is. Yeah.